I'm going to tell you the exact cardio that I did to go from 20% to 10% body fat for the first time. I used to have so many limiting beliefs when it came to cardio. And it wasn't until I decided to ignore the mainstream advice and listen to guys who actually looked the way that I wanted to look that I finally discovered the truth. It shocks me, but I decided to implement it and it works. So here is the exact cardio routine that I used to get visible abs and 10% body fat for the first time. Imagine you're trying to climb a mountain and there's two paths. One is incredibly steep and rocky, and the other is a smooth man made trail all the way to the top. Sure, the harder route works, but why go through that miserable journey when you don't have to and you end up in the same place anyway? That's the way I think about cardio. I used to be a non believer in this method. I thought it was pointless. You don't burn many calories. You don't even get a sweat on. But I just decided to switch my brain off and listen to the experts as they clearly knew something that I didn't. This cardio is as old as humans themselves. And of course, it is walking. Now, if you rolled your eyes and you wanted to click off this video, then hold on for a second. I'm going to take you through some benefits that I've experienced, which you may never have heard of before. I'm going to take you through the exact step by step to build a 10K steps per day habit and explain why you might be focusing on the wrong thing when it comes to cardio anyway. So, some of the benefits which I've personally experienced are improved sleep, especially if you walk like outside in the daylight. This helps with your circadian rhythm. It's not as taxing on my joints. It doesn't create loads of fatigue, so that it doesn't really affect my training sessions in the gym. You can talk and do it, whether that be with a person or on the phone. It really boosts my mood, particularly when I do it outside and it's a sunny day. And finally, it really encourages creativity. And it's kind of like being in the shower where you're able to just switch your brain off and you suddenly get a heap of ideas like coming to you at once. And without getting away from the screens, then it would never give that a chance to happen. And some of my best ideas have come from being on walks, and it's a habit which I do to this day. So let's now talk about how to build the 10K step per day habit. So I've got a clip here from the cardio module of the Fight Club Physique program on how I personally managed to fit in all these steps around a sedentary 9 to 5 job. First of all was to make it into a routine and habit stacking. So when I was working a 9 to 5 office job, I was sat down like all day. So I was only getting like a couple thousand steps in. So I had to actually go for a few like intentional walks to make that up. So what I did was I split that into multiple walks. And I did the same routes, same times every day. And that looked like a 20-minute walk every morning before work. And then I did another 20-minute walk at lunchtime. And then I did basically finished off the rest of the steps after work, which would usually be like a few thousand. And it just became kind of like automatic, like in my mind. And it was, yeah, it was just stacked on top of other things that I was already doing. So there are three tips that I'd give you to make building this habit effortless. First of all is to do the same routes every day. Second of all is to do them at the same times every day. And third is to make it fun. And you can do this by listening to podcasts, music, audiobooks, YouTube videos. You can be on the phone to a friend whilst you walk or go for a walk with a friend in person. I basically thought, like, what would I be doing anyway if I was just sat at home? And it might just be like watching YouTube or listening to podcasts or something. So why not just do that anyway, but instead go for a walk at the same time and get your steps in. And let's say you're trying to figure out how you can build this habit around your job and you realize that you can commit 20 minutes every morning before work to getting some steps in. So how can you figure out how far to walk in that 20 minutes? Well, a bonus tip is to basically leave your house and put on a timer for 10 minutes or half of however long you want your walk to be. And you just keep walking. And then as soon as the timer goes off, then you just turn around and come back the exact same way. And then that will be exactly 20 minutes. Once you've experimented with different routes, then you can start to put together your routine that you just repeat every day. And it just becomes automatic. And this is when the habits become so easy. And you can also habit stack them as well. So for a morning walk, for example, You can do it right after brushing your teeth or in the evening, for example. You can say to yourself, I'm not going to start cooking dinner until I've done my 10K steps for the day. Next, I'm going to talk about when other forms of cardio are great. Now, walking has been such a game changer for me personally, and it's a habit which I've continued to do, even though I'm now not trying to lean down and lose body fat. However, it might not be for everyone, and I'm a firm believer that the best form of cardio for you is the one that you enjoy the most and that you can stick to, whether that be running or some kind of sports, maybe that be like paddle, football, high rocks, just whatever you enjoy the most is what you're likely to stick to. And any form of cardio can honestly help you to get to 10% body fat. But I've personally found this to be the best way for me. And sometimes when I see someone who's overweight, who's going out for a run, and I can't imagine they're enjoying it too much. And I can't help but think that they might be focusing on the wrong thing. And I'll give you an example. So let's say you're trying to get a job and your CV is absolutely terrible. It's full of typos and the formatting is just all over the place. And instead of fixing your CV, you're practicing your interviewing skills. Well, that's a bit of a waste of time because without first fixing the CV, then you're never going to get the interview in the first place. So even though you're working hard, you're not working on the right things. And that's what I feel when it comes to a body transformation and trying to get shredded. And the much more important thing is actually nutrition. So there's no point doing all this extra cardio if when you get home, you sit down and you tuck into a pack of cookies or start eating some crisps or something, because it will just ruin all the good work. And it can become a really horrible spiral where you go out and you do all this cardio and then you feel like you need a reward. So you come home and you start snacking and piling back all those extra calories and more. So it's far better just to nail the nutrition first and then build on it by doing extra cardio if you need to, which you might not. So I highly recommend focusing on nutrition first. And I've made this video on the exact diet that I did to achieve the Brad Pitt physique from the film Fight Club. So I'll see you there. And if you're wondering what coconut cardio is, it is literally cardio whilst holding a coconut as like a weight. And believe it or not, it is apparently a real thing.